Resurgence YGO here with Michael Sarkis. What did you do this past weekend?
Damn, don't sound too excited. I got third at Salem Regionals. What's up, guys? I played Mermails. It was a crazy event. Yeah.
Okay. You want to talk about your matchups?
Yeah, I got through, 8-round tournament at Salem, Oregon. Played 7 Rysals, 1 Malice. It was kind of weird, but everyone summoned Dweller against me, but we played through it, and I ended up getting third. So it was a cool event. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Let's get to the deck profile.
All right, first of all, shout out to the Field Center and Token. These were elite. Anytime someone nibbed me, this kept me happy, so you know how it is. So I'll put these off to the side. And then, yeah, so getting into Mermails first. So this deck plays both Mermails and Atlanteans. They both synergize really well. So we got 1 Megalo, 3 Pike, and 3 Teus. These cards are pretty standard. I know some players that, there aren't really many Mermail players in the world, but those that do play it cut Megalo completely. And I don't really agree with that. Megalo is great for the grind game. Sometimes you get in situations where you kind of need to search a Sea Serpent that can discard 2 waters from your hand. It helps push for game. It helps grind through weird things that your opponent might have. So highly recommend this lineup. I don't think I would ever change this.
Okay.
Going on to Atlanteans, we got the best card in the deck, 3 Neptibus, 1 Infantry, and 3 Dragoons. These cards are beautiful, bro. These cards are perfect. I wish I could run 5 of each, honestly. Maybe not Infantry, but Neptibus is the best card in the deck. It plays around Detonator in a way because it doesn't activate on summon. You can gain advantages by playing through and paying for costs. And Dragoons itself just works so well with all your Mermail cards. Not hard once per turn. You use about 7 Dragoons effects in 1 standard combo, so it gains you advantages. It helps push through so many resources that your opponent might have. And yeah, I don't think I would ever run anything else besides these 7. So these are all perfect. And then going on to new support, we got 3 Shadow Squad, 3 Abyss Rhine, and then 1 Poseidra. This caused a little bit of controversy at regionals with some of the people that kind of played Mermails. There are a couple Mermail players in my area, and I was talking with them about this, and I've also been seeing a lot online about how people play Poseidra and what they're kind of doing, and everyone is so adamant about playing 3 of these. It's insane. I don't know how I feel about it though. It's kind of like you're playing a pre-negated Teus, because Teus and Poseidra do the same thing turn 1. Discard a card from your hand, summon it to the board, but Teus gets you to one of these. And once you're able to get to Rhine or Squad, you have full combo right there. So opening Poseidra turn 1 it's just horrible. It's kind of like a semi-brick. The only really util usage that it has is if you have Shadow Squad and Dragoons, because there was a play that I actually did where I summoned Shadow Squad, discarded Dragoons. Dragoons effect added Poseidra. Poseidra sends Squad, summon itself out, and then Squad summon Neptibus, and from then on, you have full combo. But other than that very, very specific instance, Poseidra is only good going second. And that being said, Poseidra is the best going second card in the entire game, in my opinion. This card can break boards on its own. It sends Dragoons or Infantry for cost. So I can understand the theory of why you might want to run 3 of these, but for me, I played 1 of these in the main, 2 in the side, and that worked out amazingly.
Okay.
So yeah.
You never changed those ratios?
I don't think moving forward I will. I might be going to YCS Vegas, and at Vegas, I think I'm still going to be doing 1 and 2. Because even in situations where you need it, you can just get it off Ryan, and Ryan can summon this out to the board, and this will trigger on summon. So yeah, I don't really think it's necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 is perfect. And then also another reason too, because these next 4 cards are kind of bricks. This is a brick, and in this deck, I really tried to eliminate as many bricks as I possibly could. So these 4 main bricks are horrible to see, but sometimes you need them, and when you do need them, they're broken. So we got Shift, Minstrel, Coelacanth or Coelacanth, and then Molten Glacier. Molten Glacier is the obvious one. For some reason, I feel like people are cutting this online as well, and I have no idea why. This card wins games on its own, combined with Minstrel. Minstrel discards any water from your hand, banishes 1 card from your opponent's hand face up until the end phase. And then usually what I do is going first, I'll search this off a Pike. And you can actually search this off Dragoons through many other ways of the combo, but you get it off Pike. Pike effect discards this into Dragoons, take the worst card out of their hand, and then add a Glacia, and then you discard 2 of their best cards. So that'll either be like a starter or like a board breaker. And then you have full hand knowledge, you know what you want to do going then, if you want to go double Toad or Dweller. So I would never cut this.
Yeah, well, because when you resolve both, they were like playing with 2 cards, right?
Oh yeah, they're playing with 2 cards, you know all their cards, and then you set up 3 negates and like 5 pops, so what are they going to do? Now this card, I have a hate-hate relationship with Minstrel. I despise this card. This card is like one of the most broken turn 1 cards in the game, but even then, this card sucks, because if you play 3, you're going to brick. The only reason why Minstrel is good, other than getting hand knowledge and ripping the best card out of your opponent's hand, which is broken, But if you don't open one of these 3 cards with Minstrel, it becomes kind of like a brick. In most Mermail hands, you either open a lot of discard outlets, or you just open cards that you want to discard cards with. So anything with Teus or Pike or Poseidra, or even Rhine, these cards need these cards in order to go full combo and play through any hand traps. And Minstrel goes into that slot. So if you open a hand, and this has happened, where I've opened Teus, Pike, and Minstrel, you don't really have anything to go to, because if one of these gets negated, your turn ends, right? You might end on like an Abysslatia or a Link 2, and that's it. But if you have a Minstrel with any of these, then it's the most broken card in the game, and I mean that genuinely. It's better than Exodia. But yeah, I don't know. I was playing 3 of these at one point, and then I realized that it just wasn't that consistent. Then I mained 1 and sided 2, kind of like Poseidra. And even then, going second, or game 2 and game 3 going first, if I sided 3 in, it still just didn't feel optimal. And since this deck can abuse Dragoons so often, and you have so many ways of getting into that Sea Serpent that gets you into that like Mole and Glacia, it just felt like 1 was a perfect number, and I don't think I would ever shift it. So that felt great. I don't know, moving forward, I might main the other 2 or side the other 2, but right now I think that's optimal. And then these 2 right here, these are MVPs. Shift is mainly only used for Colocanth, but Colocanth is kind of like this deck's second win condition in a way. This deck can break through a lot of boards. Actually, funny enough, so at Salem Regionals, I went first 7 rounds, 1 through 7, I lost every single die roll. So I was forced to go second into each of my matchups, most of them being Rizal. And in order to break boards, the thing I relied on the most was Poseidra, as being kind of the first win condition in a way. It gets you to resources, it gets interruptions, and it removes hand traps and things like that. But after Poseidra, and then it was Colocanth, because Colocanth is just one of those cards that either people don't expect, or even if they do see it coming, they have to answer this. They have to have some type of interaction with it. If it resolves, you're summoning out 3 Pikes, you're summoning out a Shift, you're going into double rank 4s, into all your link combos, and you win the game. So if they don't respond to this, I have a 3rd win condition in the extra deck that'll show. But yeah, I always try to save this for last. The main way that you get this out, actually the only way that you really get this out other than your extra deck cards, is through Rhine. So I try to search this as fast as I can. This plays around Shifter, it plays around Droll, it plays around Dweller, and this into this just steals games. And then lastly, Shift. Unfortunately, this deck has to play bricks, but you have to play the best bricks. So you can either play Gund, Armored Shark, or Shift. Some players play the Fishboard cards, and those suck. I would never play that. But shout out to Austin though. But Shift is sick because in the extra deck I'm playing a small synchro package, and this single-handedly allows me to go into my entire extra deck through Shifter. So it's great in the grind game, it's great around Shifter. It can also play around some other stuff and some little niche scenarios with Anemone. So yeah, if I'm gonna play a brick for Colocanth, it will be this.
Awesome.
So yeah, so that's the full monster lineup for the core. I think that's like 24 monsters, and then we got 4 more other cards here for spells. So we got Tyrania, 1-for-1, Prosperity, and Called By. I think these are all mandatory. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't run these. Called By, if you draw it, you win. If you don't, cool, you might win anyway. Prosperity is essentially a card that lets me pick up my deck and add anything I want. Since this deck has so many 1-card starters in a sense, or many ways to have 2-card starters, if Prosperity resolved at Regionals, I won that game. So I was really happy to see it. Shout out to Brandon, traded me the Pot Collection Prosperity, so I was hyped. And then 1-for-1 in Tyrania. You need this for your combo play. This is an extender. It also shuffles back resources and allows you to play through hand traps. And then 1-for-1 is another Neptibus. I don't know why you don't play this. Play it. And then, so yeah, so that's the core. Core's 28 cards. Unfortunately, Mermail has to play a massive core, so you can't play that much non-engine. You can go to 44 or 45, but again, bricking is like such a big important factor for me. So with the hand trap lineup, it's a little odd, but I only played the best stuff. So we got 3 Fulos, 3 Imperm, 3 Impulse, and then this might be a little weird, but 2 Droll. The only reason I'm playing 2 Droll is because I wanted to stay at 40. So this would be 41. Normally it would be 44 and I would have another hand trap, but I noticed through testing that if I draw too much non-engine, the deck's just not great. Even going second, some of my best hands going second are just 5 core cards. So being able to break through boards, being able to gain my resources, everything is for cost, so it plays around most hand traps. Even if my opponent drops Fulos or Purley on me, there are ways to end your board on just having 3 or 4 negations or interruptions on your opponent's board without going in the extras. So playing the best things in the game allowed me to minimize the amount of bricks while maximizing the amount of output. So Fulos is Fulos, no explanation. Impulse is great, especially against Mitsurugi. So that worked out really well. Imperm, I mainly use Imperm as a board breaker and not a hand trap. I kept Imperm up for Detonator or Dweller, or even something like a Griffin if I was playing Malice, which I did one time. And then Droll, this is one of the main things I would swap in my deck. Droll was a blowout if I ever saw it, especially against the Rizal matchup. Only issue is I would be going to 41, but I feel like we can kind of sneak past that. You know, it's not too big of an issue.
What hand trap would you change Droll for?
Oh no, I would just be 3.
Oh, okay, you would want to play 3.
Yeah,
Would you change any of these hand traps?
Not really. I mean, if there was a way to play more Fuloses, I would. But outside of that, no, everything was phenomenal. Sometimes Impulse was a little dead, but it was always good enough to slow my opponents down, whether it was like a Requiem effect, if they had something else on the board, or if it was just in combination with something else. Like a Droll Impulse, Rizal Mitsurugi got shut off, Fiendsmith Rizal got shut off. And I think that's why I won. I think I won 6 out of 7 game 1s going second against Rizal. The only game 1 that I lost was, actually the only match that I lost was against a guy that eventually won Salem Regionals, who's actually my friend, so shout out to Matt. I bricked horrendously game 1 and he outplayed me game 2, so not much I can do there. But everyone else, it was kind of a clean sweep. If I saw a Droll or if I saw any combination of these two, it was pretty much over at that point. So
awesome.
Great.
Do you want to do extra or side?
Let's do extra first.
Okay.
So the extra deck I think is pretty standard for the most part, or if it isn't, it should become standard. We got Abyss Gaios, Trite, and Poseidra. Abyss Gaios and Trite kind of do similar things, but in different ways. They both get you to Poseidra, and this is your last win condition outside of Colocanth. If you're going second and you're able to summon this and resolve it, you win the game. So everything that this deck does in between your first play until your last is to bait every piece of interaction your opponent has to get to this card. So that's kind of how I played the deck. I pretty much played it through layered interaction and layered plays, and kind of resolved them in a way that this would be my final thing. But yeah, so Abyss Gaios, this card is cuttable, but I strongly disagree with people that do it. It's a one-way skill drain with awkward hands, and depending on your opponent's hand trap, sometimes you can't make the optimal play. So Abyss Gaios just lets you have one extra step of negation. It can stop Rizal monsters, it can stop Malice cards here and there depending if they have the trap, so it's not too bad. But most of the time I'm summoning Stride effect, just lets you extend and extend and extend. This can get into Poseidra going second, it can get into level 4s to get into rank 4s, or Anemone to get into your synchros. This just gets you a free body. And then Poseidra, this card is so broken. If this card was generic and every deck could summon it, this card would be banned, and I wholeheartedly believe that. It's a soul charge and a triple compulse, so it's insane. Rank 4s, we got Dweller. By the way, this card should be banned. I hate this card. I hate playing against it. I hate summoning it on my opponents. This card should be banned, but while it's here, I'm playing it. We got Dweller, Double Bahamut, Toad, and La Virtue. So these cards are all pretty standard. You kind of do need to run an extra rank 4, and Dweller is the best. You can run Kraken, you can run some other stuff, but there's no point when you can literally play one of the best extra cards in the game. Double Bahamut, Double Toad, standard. You summon this in your combo. They're really good for Prosperity banishes as well, because this deck can struggle with Prosperity. So sometimes if I know what my opponent has, I might just banish these two, might banish the Dweller. And then Virtue, infinite advantage, infinite resource, infinite recursion, so it's great. Going on to links, we got 1 Coral Anemone, 1 Abyss Lacia, 1 Neptibus, and 1 Abyss Keeper. These are also very standard. These are mandatory. You shouldn't play anything more, anything less. I've messed around with playing Zealantis, and Zealantis is cool, but if you've gotten to the point where you've summoned an Anemone and you're able to go into Zealantis, you've already won that game, because Anemone will just get you to your rank 7 and it'll just gain you to your advantage. So I've never been in a position where I've needed it. Abyss Lacia is just one of my ending units. It gets a lot of grind game going. It provides you a second discard where you can loop infantry twice. And then Neptibus, you have to play it as part of your combo. Abyss Keeper though, I'm not seeing a lot of people play this, and I have no idea why. People sometimes complain that this deck can brick with Colocanth, and while that's true, Abyss Keeper is just your out. It's 2 generic waters, which means it's generic for the entire deck. It summons Colocanth from hand for free, and then it also has a niche effect where it can banish a fish on your board and a card your opponent controls, which I did use at Regionals. So essentially what this card means is this is never a brick. In fact, opening this actually makes your deck a little bit better depending on your other cards. So yeah, in a sense, I think if you're not running Abyss Keeper, you're inherently making your deck worse. So I highly recommend it. And then going on to Synchro, so this is connected to Colocanth as well and Schiff. We got Porpoise, and then we got Dragite. So out of all 15 cards in my extra deck, this is the only one that you can change out, in my opinion. Everything else should be mandatory and standard. Porpoise allows Colocanth to be 2 rank 4s, because on summon with its effect, I target a fish level 4 lower in my grave, summon it back, and then I have to have the same name in my grave as summon out another one. So it summons out 2 pikes, it gets you into Bahamut, it gets you into Toad, and then Schiff and Grave can banish to target it, and then during the next standby phase, it comes back, and on your opponent's turn, you synchro up into Dragite. So it's another form of disruption. It's not too bad. You can play the Goatee package and play Deep Beyond, but again, if you're playing Deep Beyond and you summon it, you've already won at that point because you've gone full combo. So sometimes you get into really weird niche situations where you can end on 1 Toad and Dragite and maybe a Link or 2, and that's enough. And that's enough to go for game. Because a thing that this deck struggles with a lot, especially with deck building, is you can really play as many combo pieces as you want, and you can build a deck in any which way you want, but so many cards are win more cards, and you just don't need them. So minimizing those bricks and playing only what's essential, I think really helped me a lot this event. So yeah, so those are the 15 extra deck cards. Going on to the side deck, quick shout out to Matt who won the event. He helped me a lot with my side deck, especially some choices that I made. So side deck was phenomenal, especially since I lost a die roll almost every single time, 7 out of 8 times. So we got the 2 Poseidras. I already made my spiel on that. Poseidra is broken going second. It's especially broken if you open it because, you know, it can send Dragoons for cost, it can send the infantry, and then just go crazy. And then we got 3 Lancia for the Malice matchup. Not much to be said there. And then for spells, we got 1 Feather Duster, 2 Droplet, and then 3 Eclipse. So these cards right here were MVPs. Anytime I saw them going second, I just felt phenomenal. As a matter of fact, I think every single time I went second, no matter what deck I'm playing against, I sided 2 Poseidra, 2 Droplet, and 3 Eclipse, and it worked perfectly. The only thing I regret is playing the Duster, because I never really played against Rogue. I played against all meta, and I might replace this with a Droplet moving forward. Outside of that though, I don't think you can really swap anything around. 3 Lancia is mandatory, Droplet's broken, Eclipse is broken, and then Poseidra's broken. If I could play 6 Poseidras, I would. Wholeheartedly, I would. I don't care if I open up a hand of only Poseidras, that thing's nuts. And then going for traps, we got the Barrier and then the Virtue Stream. So I'm not maining this. I don't think you should ever main any of the traps in this deck, outside of like hand traps, but Abyss Stream and Virtue Stream, they're both phenomenal cards, they're both great cards, but going second if you draw it, it feels bad. So Barrier is a blowout against Rizal. It's not really super strong against Rizal, Fiendsmith, or Mitsurugi, but if you can stop half the deck from playing, the rest of your board will stop the other half, no problem. So yeah, that's the side deck right there, and then I think that's everything.
All right. You already mentioned some changes, but do you think you'll make any other changes going forward?
I mean, for the main deck, I think the main deck's really solid. I might swap out that Droll, like I said, but outside of that, I don't really know. I think the core, I've played this deck a long time. I played it since 2014 until now. So through any iteration that this deck has been through, or anything that has come out in recent years for support, I've tried it, I've tested it, and you kind of just have to find that middle page of consistency versus strength. So yeah, I don't know. For core, everything's perfect. For hand traps, depending on the format, I might change things. I was thinking about playing Nib, but Nib's also just one of those cards, if you're not playing 2 other hand traps with it, it just seems horrible. So yeah, everything felt great.
All right. Any shout outs?
Oh yeah, of course. Well, shout out to Alan behind the camera, helping me with getting those impulses. Shout out to Nico, helping me getting the Fuloses. Sunny, Caleb, Austin, those are my guys, those are my boys. And shout out to Matt with the side deck. And also shout out to Rainy as well. Rainy Day Games, the GOAT, Chronos for letting us film here. And shout out to this channel. Appreciate it.
Peace.